Hello and welcome to another video. So today we are checking out a Mecha Ginger Rune. I would say it's Ginger Rune predominantly. Mecha just kind of takes up the early game because it is really solid at the moment. And Ginger Rune was interesting enough for me to want to check out as we get closer to the next expansion. So why not get into it and check it out. So first up, a Ginger Rune versus Dragon.
Time to shine, Daria.
So this is an interesting way to go. Double Robo Goblin would have been okay, but trading in wasn't going to hurt us. We want as much early game as we can get for this deck. Trying to set up for, of course, the wonderful Ginger. And of course your main win condition typically is the Zeus's, as long as you can get those off. Which isn't too difficult with this deck since Ginger does lower them to 1/1s.
Impressive technology.
And this shouldn't be too bad an early start. You will use Grimnir as a decent ward to deal with anything that comes down early from our opponent. Stop them from outright attacking. I can even use the Mechanized Lifeform now to kind of just generate a card. Plus I do need something going into next turn. Full Metal Dragoon, that one's a little rough, not what I wanted to see. We don't really have any massive AoE in this deck, so dealing with stuff can be quite difficult if you don't get anything good in your early game, that is. Whereas we're on a pretty okay path. Like, we should be able to wipe out at least 3 of the cards here without much trouble, especially with Monica. No, maybe just 2. So that allows us to hopefully set up against that 2-1. Although they did go for the Omen Evo, which is interesting. So they're going to wipe us out. We are now forced to have to deal with this. At least on the bright side, we do have Warring Thunder and Warring Flame, so we can kind of combo those together. And then turn 7, we still got Monica's Familiar, so not too worried. And there we go, a pretty decent setup against this now. We've seen a lot of cards from our opponent. Now, ideally I should have probably went for Ginger, because I could have made the full-blown Ginger play there. But I did completely skip over it and ended up going for the Monica play instead, which honestly, in my opinion, wasn't the better option to do, but beggars couldn't be choosers at that point. I just made the play, realised it after, and moved on. And we might be down to just 7 health, but we've managed to maintain our own board and their board pretty well, keeping them at arm's length every time. Now I realised at this time and finally set up for the Monica's Familiar. Setting this up pretty nicely to generate Gingers. Curses pretty easily. And a little bit of healing just to keep us out of any potential damage range. And I'm glad I did that healing because that was a dangerous situation to end up in. So right now we're only going to be short 9 damage. So if our Zeus can pull off 9 damage, we can definitely still win this. Alright Zeus, what do you got? Show us the money. That's a little rough, especially since we didn't get the damage. At least the healing should buy us enough time. Now we've still got another Zeus yet, so it's not all for lost. Now, opponent's not really doing anything too crazy, which is lucky, but the best thing you can usually do with Ginger, obviously, is get those Zeus's out. If you can't hit the storm with them, they definitely become harder to use. Luckily for us, not too big a deal. So nice Monica. Probably should have saved that one for the Zeus, to be honest, but we ended up winning anyway, since of course the 3 and the 7 guarantees it. We don't even need the Zeus to risk, so worth it in the end. Alright, for match 2 we are playing against a RuneCraft. Very popular for the rotation ladder.
Time to shine, Daria.
I bring unto you serenity.
So I have the Robo-Goblin and the Hoverboard Mercenary, along with of course the Mechanized Lifeform. Which, they were all really good early game. Ginger as well, not too bad actually, since we already got solid early game. The only real problem is that Portal can flood. And that could lead to some bad things down the road. Alright, Jet Broom Witch, plus a Mercenary.
Show me how much you worship me.
Begin.
Now Omen, for the play.
Which is more important? Try hard much? My heart
And perfect setup for a good Monica. Not quite enough to kill this on its own, so I'm going to have to sack one of the followers into it as well. But definitely a worthwhile chance to get it out. And get us to set up early as possible. Omen, not usually a huge problem against this deck. This deck does of course have Angelic Smite in it, which does deal with the destruction in black pretty nicely. That's why most Portal players don't like playing against Rune typically. This is a very common tech in Rune decks. And just the 4-3 remaining that we have to deal with. But who needs to deal with that when we've got a really nice Jet Broom Witch,
It just makes sense.
along with the Magitech Golem. But it does deal plenty of damage to wipe that board out. Puppet Strings, that's not one I like to see. They're getting really good removal right now. They should actually nearly have their destruction in white completely playable. Should be really cheap at this point. Good chance though for the Monica's Familiar there.
Going beyond dimensions.
Even get to throw an Evo on it.
We'll take down all the evildoers. Pray to me.
Since that will leave us pretty available to play what we need next time. So we can play the Ginger, then the Familiar for 1, upgrade the Ginger, and be pretty much set.
Mere whisper.
We do need to get Angelic Smite soon though, so that's something I do have to keep an eye on. Luckily I got the Mechanized Lifeform, which is a pretty good source of draw power.
Do it, Monica. For love, courage, and hope. Woo!
I did decide to attack the 1-1, kind of just pointlessly. I wasn't too worried. Probably was a wrong move to be honest, because of course the 7-7 would have been better value, but it's fine. It's not typically the end of the world for this deck. Now opponent just decides to of course trade in whatever they can. Now it does look like that 1 damage could have made a difference, but I suspect they would have easily still taken it out.
I'll rescue everyone.
Alright, and a decent full draw here for the Zeus.
For love, courage, and hope. Looks like y'all could use a
And our second, of course, Monica.
You ready for the good stuff? Miracle shooting.
And 1 repair mode just to kind of keep my health up a little bit.
Kids these days have no manners.
And to free up, of course, the board slot in case they destroy these Monica's Familiars.
You undid my transformation.
And there is the destruction in black. Definitely not what we wanted to see there. We really need this Zeus to hit well if we want to win. And that was pretty decent, exactly the amount we needed to finish the game and round it out. So Ginger I still don't find a very competitive deck, but still a reasonably solid one. Definitely a fun one to play if you're interested. I recommend checking it out. It's actually been a pretty decent time overall, but it's still hit or miss when it comes to some of its matches, and of course bricking can be an issue sometimes, so definitely be careful of that. But otherwise, I hope you guys did enjoy this video. If you did, hit the like button, subscribe. You'll find the deck list in the description below. Until next time guys, see ya.